The rules of the old game. Technology. Ancient imperial China was an innovative powerhouse compared with ancient Rome. Economist William Beaumont commented on ancient Rome. They had no reservations about the desirability of wealth or about its pursuit, as long as it did not involve participation in industry or commerce. Persons of honorable status had three primary acceptable sources of income: landholding, usury, and political payments. Compared to Rome, ancient China's rules of the game stimulated innovation. Prior to the collapse of the Han Dynasty, in the 3rd century AD, which occurred roughly at the same time as the collapse of the Western Roman Empire, China boasted a plethora of firsts. In alphabetical order, the abacus, acupuncture, air conditioners, mechanical rotary fans, the algorithms for square roots, the anemoeter, anti-malarial drugs, axial rudders for boats, ball bearings, bean curds, belt drives and pulleys, the blast furnace, breast straps for horse harnesses, calipers, the central mount wheelbarrow, chess, chopsticks, coal as a fuel, the collapsible umbrella, the crossbow, deep well drilling for salt and natural gas, the distillation of mercury, double-action bellows, the downdraft kiln, the dragon kiln, the draw loom used in sericulture, diked fields, edge-runner mills, ephedrine amphetamines, extendable ladders used in sieges, fermented soybean paste, fertilizer, fumigation to prevent books from being eaten by bookworms, gabion, gear wheels used in the differential of a south-pointing cart. That's a mechanical compass, not a magnetic compass. Grid techniques in cartography, the gyroscope principle used in an incense burner, horizontal and vertical water wheels, the hot air balloon, hydraulic engineering, I'm referring to the leading flight control systems, kites, magic squares, magnetic compasses, malt sugar, mat and batten sails, the mold board used in plowshares to turn the sod, multiple tube seed drills, natural current mine ventilation using differential shaft pressures, negative numbers for mathematical operations, noodles, paper, piston bellows, polar equatorial celestial coordinates of latitude, refraction, optics and the physics of the camera obscura, seawalls, the seismograph, self-feathering propeller oars, sluices for mining ore separation, square pallet chain pump, square set vertical mine shaft supports, tea as a drink, the treadle-operated spinning wheels, topographical maps, toxic smoke screens for siege warfare, the trebuchet as siege engines, the trip hammer, the weather vane, the winnowing fan, and the zeotrope, a precursor to film animation. This list is from the index of Joseph Needham's massive work, Science and Civilization in China. You may debate Needham's methodology. You may dispute some of his inventions. You may quibble about the dates. You may discover alternate currents in the historical flows of technology between East and West, but you may not credibly argue against his conclusion. Ancient China innovated. You probably noticed that 2 of the 4 innovations for which China is most popularly recognized, paper and compass, are on that list. You probably noticed that 2 of the 4 innovations for which China is popularly recognized, gunpowder and printing, are not on that list. The reason is that that list is from ancient imperial China. Gunpowder and printing were developed in medieval imperial China. Medieval imperial China, which coincided with the Dark Ages and the High Middle Ages in the West, experienced China's greatest flowering of innovation relative to the West. Medieval China's innovations far exceeded ancient China's that I just summarized. Medieval imperial China spanned the Sui, the Tang, the Song, the Yuan, and the early Ming. These dynasties, a millennium from the 6th to the 15th centuries. Hundreds of innovations of medieval China included advances in agriculture, manufacturing, transportation, and economics. China developed a surplus economy in which not only merchants but also peasants bought and sold products and services in a market economy. With trading and accounting, money and banking, the profit motive permeated Chinese society, inculcating business practices in traditional Chinese culture. China was in constant contact with the rest of the world, philosophically, commercially, and militarily, as never before. China continually was at war, wars to unify, to divide, to reunify the country, wars against invaders, and wars of conquest. The imperial government recognized the need for centralized research and development and manufacturing in critical industries, including publishing and munitions. Gunpowder, like most innovations, was not a single eureka invention. It was developed over centuries of minor innovations, and it enjoyed state subsidies from the time of primitive fire arrows. By the beginning of the 13th century, proto-guns, bombs, and cannons had been effectively deployed in battle. The technologies were adopted by the Mongols, who successfully used them in siege warfare against the Chinese developers. The Mongols conquered China, from where, as the Yuan Dynasty, they briefly ruled the largest contiguous land empire in world history, before or since. From the Shanhaiguan, where the Great Wall of China meets the Pacific Ocean, to Guangzhou in the southeast, to Baghdad and Budapest in the west, a single empire prevailed. Safe travel linked the east with the west as never before, and merchants capitalized on the opportunity. The Mongol court of the Yuan dynasty was the most cosmopolitan in imperial Chinese history. It employed, among others, the Venetian merchant Marco Polo, who worked as a diplomat in the Yuan Foreign Service for many years, and the greatest admiral of Chinese history, the Ming Dynasty Admiral Zheng He. He was the son of a Mongol dynasty general. Zheng He's father was a Muslim who had completed his pilgrimage to Mecca, but lost his life fighting the incoming Ming dynasty. The Ming, the new dynasty, which the son Zheng He served, saw imperial China's greatest and last maritime voyage of discovery to the rest of the world. Zheng He commanded the most powerful naval fleet the world had ever seen. Hundreds of ships, whose sizes dwarfed contemporary European vessels, traveled to Indonesia, India, Arabia, and the shores of Africa. The Ming started with open traditions of the Chinese imperial medieval period, but then the Ming turned inward, militarily, intellectually, and culturally, and thereafter imperial China lost its innovative edge over the West.